Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I know you all have been waiting for tonight's show here on a Thursday on the Snake Sports Talk Show. I am loving it because we're getting closer and closer to the kickoff of the NFL season. We are stacked and loaded because former NFL defensive tackle Shaun joins us. And we've also got NBA draft analyst Matt Babcock here on the program. Really excited about this one because there is so much to unpack before the official season kicks off. And there's so much to talk about in the world of the NBA. But welcome in, everyone. Glad that you could be here live in Denver, Colorado. We got so much to talk about here with our great guests as well. But I do want to end up starting with this just about a quick minute before we bring up our guests. And here's the thing, because we've been talking a lot about the Cincinnati Bengals situation with the whole Trey Hendrickson, the contract dispute, and all the rest of it. Well, the only thing that the Bengals were able to do, which they should have done before, which was sign their rookie, Shemar Stewart, to a contract earlier than they did. And so now that the language of the contract is about sound, now the contract is fulfilled, but now you've got the Trey Hendrickson situation. And I'm going to be blunt and honest about this as much as I can. I like Trey Hendrickson. I do. He gives you exactly what he gives you, 17 and a half sacks per year in the back-to-back years. He's a pure edge rusher for that. But the only thing that he does tend to struggle with is when you ask him to go up in situations where you got to stop the run. That's where a lot of that, Cincinnati's defensive front, B.J. Hill and a couple others, I mean, they've got some pretty good ones, but they still tend to struggle against the run, which was also part of the reason why that Cincinnati missed up and on the playoffs. It wasn't anything on offense, but the defense just couldn't end up clicking and gelling, and at the same time, they're not stopping up on the runs. The points now, they're not limiting these down, so that's where Cincinnati really struggled at. But in this case, with Trey Hendrickson, because he wants the fully guaranteed money, and we all know ownerships will either do a few things. Number one, they've got the money to pay it, but there's a part of it they don't want to feel trapped. You're already paying the top hefty money for Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, your big threes. Now, you're not doing Joe Burrow any favors when you don't give him at least the best defensive player. But only thing that I can say when it comes to Trey Hendrickson, I'm going to be blunt when I say this. He's right now living in the modern-day Mark Gastineau. Not the personality stuff, but the pure edge rusher. If anybody recalls from the New York Jets, what the Jets' defensive front was all about, Gastineau was all about getting the sacks. Yes, they'll get pressures. Yes, they'll end up fighting to stop the run. But when you're focused a lot on getting sacks rather than be the top 15 best run defense in the league, that's where you would have saved a lot of just the damages of the points. You would have been able to save 27 plus points a game you're putting up every week and then not have to worry about coughing that up afterward. So as much as I like Trey Hendrickson, I think if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you would honestly just move on from this business. Get draft capital. You did the right thing by signing your rookie. So now you got to end up getting some draft capital because there are going to be plenty of other edge rushers and plenty of other defensive fronts that you're going to get coming into college. So why not strike a deal on it? We know he's going to get his money. There's no doubt about that. But I think because you're holding on to this for so long, it's just right now, the last thing you want to go is go into a season. He ain't out there. And then you're throwing the rookie in, and there's no gelling in the first couple weeks. And you've got this lingering on the back of your head. So, I mean, honestly, I would move on from this business, get as much draft capital as I can, and maybe get somebody that can help to be the run stuffer, because that's what hurt us last season. I mean, they gotten some secondary helps. They could probably end up going and getting a linebacker at some point because, Jermaine Pratt, when they let him go, he goes to the Raiders, and the Raiders got themselves a good find. But it's just Cincinnati, when they feel frugal like this, it's hard. That's why they got to play their cards right. And at the same time, Trey Hendrickson knows what he's doing. So it's going to be interesting one way or the other. But I just think with this lingering on, you already got a rookie. You're already prepared for that. Now you just got to end up getting a deal in place, whether you actually do pay him, but there's going to be repercussions either way. But I would rather get the draft capital, because then next year there's probably going to be some defensive fronts and edge rushers that you can get out of the draft. So interesting. But we're going to be bringing on our guests here up and onto the program, but a lot to really talk about up from here as we talk about Cooper Flagg, and we started talking a lot about Ace Bailey, and I'm just really curious as to how the state of the NBA is going to look like, and especially with our future stars coming up and into the league. So joining us, he knows all about it, covers up these guys here into the draft. Matt Babcock joins the program here on the show. So I will tell you this, though, Matt, and I live my life like this. I don't believe that some things in life are a coincidence. I think because when I look at it this way, the NBA draft lottery tends to be like it either does work in favor of the teams or sometimes you kind of miss it. But, I mean, living here in Denver, we love our scratch tickets. And usually it's like 14%, I could walk out a millionaire. And then if I don't, then I'm probably going to end up getting the small amount. It's what I feel about the NBA draft lottery because, I mean, LeBron James leaves Cleveland to go to Miami, and then they go and get Kyrie Irving. Then there's Anthony Davis joins the Lakers, and the Pelicans get Zion Williamson. Here we are, fast forward, where Luka Doncic, which completely broke the internet, goes to the Lakers, and yet the Mavs get gifted with the number 1 overall pick in Cooper Flagg. Is this kind of something that the NBA really has to look into of, should we change this thing or are they going to continue on with this draft lottery? Like, what were your thoughts on that? Because I didn't think it was a coincidence, in my opinion.
No, for sure. I was in Chicago at the NBA draft combine when the lottery was going on. So I was with a bunch of NBA folks, and everybody was shocked, when Dallas got that first pick. And, obviously I heard all the same rumblings of like, oh, is this fixed? This, can't be, that coincidental that Nico Harrison's getting so much heat for trading Luka to LA and so on and so forth. I really don't know for sure. I do know it's a continuing conversation as far as with the competition committee and just NBA folks in general of, how do we put more pressure on these teams to not tank? I mean, I think that's the biggest issue. Whether it's rigged or not, I'm not going to comment on that, but I don't have any real insight as far as how they would change it. And I haven't heard any proposals from any official people as to how they would, but I think they'll continue to look at stuff like that moving forward.
So on the subject of Cooper Flagg, because I think it ultimately, when you get gifted with the number 1 overall pick and you've got a roster where I look back at this trade and I said, listen, the Lakers won the long-term deal because you got Luka and he's young and he's going to continue to develop. But if you were looking at a roster for the short term that looks really good enough to be a Western Conference contender, I mean, Dallas from top to bottom with Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, they got size, they got skill set, and then all you get is another rookie that is going to fit the bill into this. So when you look at Cooper Flagg's game style, and then even with the mechanics that we've seen through the summer league, I mean, This kind of seems like it'll take a little bit of time until the chemistry does gel, but I think this could be a dangerous team pretty quickly. What were your thoughts on Cooper Flagg here to Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, on paper, absolutely. And I mean, if you're looking at it from that standpoint, style of play, I mean, Cooper Flagg, that's one reason he drives so much value because you can plug him in about anywhere. He guards everybody on the floor, doesn't really need the ball in his hands on offense to be effective, so he can coexist with just about everybody. I mean, keep in mind, he is still a really young guy. I mean, I think he's got a lot of room for growth, but, he's going to be able to step in right away and contribute at a high level. And I think with Dallas, I mean, as far as, how good their team's going to be in the short term, I think a lot of that, needs to be, are they healthy? I mean, Kyrie going down with the injury, can they get him back? And he and AD, they're both aging stars on some level or another, right? And so, can they continue contributing at a high level these next few years? And how quickly is Cooper going to develop? And we're all hoping and thinking he's going to develop into a star player. I think there's probably going to be some kind of learning curve. I mean, I think it's just common sense for a kid that's 18, 19 years old. That he's not going to step in and just light the world on fire. But I do think if those guys stay healthy or get healthy, and Cooper comes in ready to roll, yeah, they could make some waves.
It is interesting. I won't dive too deeply into this, but Ace Bailey, when I watched him up and in college, the kid's got really good skills. I think the kid's got a very good, bright future. And to me, I didn't think this was a surprise to me in an organization like Utah, because knowing Danny Ainge, he's going to find that kind of talent to where this will work. I mean, going from his experience in Boston, having to deal with Jason Tatum, and then having to deal with Jaylen Brown, I think Ace Bailey, just building to be the star for the future in this organization. I think that was just a direction they were going to end up going. I think it seems like this could be a very good sneaky fit and something Jazz fans are really going to be excited about for the near future.
Yeah, I think that the NBA is a star-driven league, and so I think when you have an opportunity to get in a guy that has the amount of upside that Ace Bailey does, I think Austin Ainge said, "Hey, this is what we got to go with." And even though he's a young guy, there are some question marks, about his maturity as a player and in person off the floor. But I mean, he does some things he really can't teach. I mean, he's 6'8", plus, and he's a tough shot maker. I mean, he's hitting fadeaways like Kobe and Durant, and that is a skill set or a skill that really kind of opens up the door. I mean, he could be a primetime scorer. And so, I mean, I do think it's going to take him a little bit of time. We'll probably see some flashes this year, of him doing some big things. But I think he's probably 2-3 years away from getting to the point where he's going to make a major impact and, have a chance of, really, maximizing his potential.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Let's talk about the Spurs. We know they're turning the chapter now from the Greg Popovich era to now going into a new regime up from here. But I love with what they're building together with De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, and then even with Victor Wembanyama. So you add in Dylan Harper into the middle of this mix. And I think, the one thing that I've always credited the Spurs, they're a very defensive-minded organization. They get the size, they get exactly the collapse in the perimeter because they're trying to enforce a lot of that pressure of score off me. And they're going to find ways to block, to either find steals and get turnovers, to now get possession on their side and turn those into points. So with Dylan Harper, I think there's going to be a spark on the offensive side. But then there's even the room of that growth to where this could really be a sneaky elite defensive team here in the future, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think, sort of what I said about Dallas as far as their health being really, dependent on how much success they'll have in the short term. I mean, Victor, you're missing that time. Hopefully he comes back with no hiccups because I don't think he's far off from being the best player in the world. And we're probably going to see that in the next few years is what I'm expecting from him. And, with the guard trio, it's sort of interesting when, again, going back to the draft lottery, San Antonio getting the second pick, we all sort of penciled in Dylan Harper as the second prospect. It doesn't seem like a seamless fit. We got De'Aaron Fox with Castle. These are on-ball creators that aren't really known as perimeter, at least pure perimeter shooters, and that's exactly what Dylan is. And so, on one hand, I see it as, okay, defensively, you've got some versatility because Castle and Harper have size, and Fox is just such a pesky defender. So I think you could make it work on the defensive end. Offensively, they're probably going to have to, kind of share the ball a little bit, put a lot of pressure on the rim off the dribble. But I mean, these guys really need to develop shooting. I think for them to be able to play together and for it to really work, they all kind of have to lift each other up and start hitting shots at a higher clip, and also get used to playing off the ball some. Because I mean, there's only going to be one ball in the court at a time. For them to work with. And so I'm interested to see how it plays out. But I do like the group of talent. I think they've got a lot of upside, and they've got some guys ready to roll right now.
Same. I feel like that if offensively they can get that going. I mean, defensively, I've never had an issue with, because I feel like they could figure that out pretty quickly. But if you could get that offense going, man, it's going to shock a lot of teams up and in the West. Was there any player in the draft, though, that really caught your eye, that you looked at and said, from the organization fit, that you're like, man, this guy, they're going to get used to knowing him? Because by that point, he goes into an organization not a ton of people paid attention to, but I think this kid may be ready to turn some heads. Was there anybody in particular that you thought of from this past draft?
Yeah, I mean, if I really thought about it, there'd probably be a few. But the one name that comes to mind, did get drafted high, is a VJ Edgecombe. I think his upside is very significant. I mean, personally, I would have looked at him, kind of in the same category as Dylan Harper, even though a lot of people did have Dylan as the clear-cut number 2 this is not a knock on Dylan at all. I think he's got a chance of being a really great player. I think VJ's athleticism, explosion, I think he's really, sort of just scratching the surface of what he's going to become as far as an on-ball creator. And so I see upside of him being like a, Russell Westbrook type player. In Russell Westbrook in his prime, that was MVP of the league, and so, I mean, I don't say that lightly. And so I think VJ Edgecombe is a guy, I mean, whether he does it right off the bat or not, I think he's got a chance of being a really big time player.
Absolutely, man. Philly fans would be absolutely just loving with this kid's potential by far. So this is interesting. I don't know if you got a chance to tap into it yourself, but I look at this, and I mean, I talk about the NIL and even with what it's impacting with college football, because to me, I'm all about players getting paid. I'm all about, securing the bag, and then at the very least, prepare yourself for the future. But I also know too, is that we're getting a lot of these collegiate athletes that are coming back another year to at least, either get the experiences, maybe get a little bit more incentives, whatever the case may be. When I look at it, college hoops, I mean, funny thing is, my birthday lands on when the tournament starts. So I always love watching this tournament, but it seems to me though, Matt, that like we're going to witness a change with this. This was only year 1, but with the NIL, you're starting to see a lot of those top-notch programs from your Dukes to your North Carolinas and so on and so forth that are really going to end up taking a big swing for some of these players that they're going to add on to their roster and really make a run at the title. But the only thing is, for some of these like smaller programs where I would say some of these Cinderella programs we're so used to, they're going to have a bit of a hard time competing up and into it because of just the payroll, bankroll, and then, of course, the popularity of the programs themselves. When you start to look at this and what the impact of the NIL will be for the next few years, I feel like, Matt, that with collegiate athletes in basketball coming back another year, I feel like we're shaping the next wave of great stars, whereas I've watched the NBA in the last few years. I didn't even get a chance to know these guys until year 3, year 4, when they finally started popping in their prime. I feel like this could actually end up happening quicker because the NFL, we get day 1 starters by the time they're in the first 3 rounds. So it's like, I feel like in the NBA, there might be a little bit of a change on that. What did you feel about this?
You're spot on. And I think about a few things right off the top is, I mean, one, the talent pool in college is increasing because a lot of these kids that are on the fence, whether they stay in the draft or not, are going back. I mean, I think of guys like Ian Jackson, who transferred from North Carolina St. John's, Tahad Pettiford going back to Auburn, LeBaron Philon going to Alabama, Yaxel Lendenberg, Michigan. These are all guys in years past that would have probably stayed in the draft and been first-round picks. These are going to be top-tier college players now. And so then you top that off with the transfer portal, which is very dysfunctional. But what it's doing is these teams are able to put together teams rather than just recruiting talent and figuring it out. And so we've got very talented teams. A lot of them are quite a bit older and more mature and been coached up. And so the talent levels, the competition is just getting better and better, and I think we're always going to have, top tiered freshmen that they're going to be one and done, but I think a lot of these guys are going to stay in school, as you mentioned, longer, and it's just going to be good basketball. And as far as how it's going to impact the NBA, we saw it this year. The depth of the draft wasn't great after the first round. And that will catch up eventually because the guys will use all their college eligibility, and then all of a sudden 2-3 years from now, I mean, we're looking at a very deep draft where you're still drafting the one and done freshmen, the Cooper Flags of the world. But you're getting the second round, you might be taking guys that could crack your rotation right away.
Yeah, I agree, because even in the NFL, like this past draft we had was the most roster constructed draft that I think we've ever seen. I mean, these were guys that were ready to fill in the holes that were much needed, and guys that can make an impact. If we could get that up and into the NBA, where I got a bench role player who can come in, give me some shots, whether it's shooting from the arc or even just coming in and being a defensive threat to where we're getting possession on it, and then make the timing to where we're getting our leads and we're keeping our leads. I would love to see a lot of that. I think we're getting a bit of that. We're getting a little bit of that.
Another interesting point, too, in dramatic change in our space is international scouting and prospects overseas. Because a lot of these kids are now coming to school, and so now they're going to be sort of categorized as domestic players. It's just the ripple effects of all this is pretty extreme, and I'm for it. I mean, there still needs to be a lot of reform and just sort of rules and regulations put in place. But ultimately, I do think it's going to help basketball at every level. We're just kind of going through some growing pains at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, even just from seeing this past season where we saw a lot of the small market teams, and maybe that's just the kind of the blueprint that Adam Silver's put together, is that we want to make it, we want to make it a fair playing field for a lot of these organizations. And after just watching this past finals with OKC and Indiana, it's like, what about Houston? What about a couple of these other organizations? They take a shot at it. So, I mean, we're getting there. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm excited about it. Final question here for you before we end up moving on. So Cooper Flag goes number 1. Is there anybody in mind that you've paid attention to in college that we may end up seeing that could be the potential next number 1 in the next draft, who I think has a very good high upside?
Oh, absolutely. I spent a lot of time evaluating high school players and getting a head start, and so I'm pretty familiar with most of the guys that are coming in every year. And we have a very exciting draft coming up. 2 guys come to mind. Darren Peterson is going to be a freshman at Kansas. This guy is big time. He's a 6'5", scoring 2 guard. I think he's got a chance of being like the next premier 2 guard in the league. I mean, whether it be the next Dwayne Wade or whatnot, he's special. And then AJ DeBansa, going to BYU. And then this guy is just a freak. 6'8", explosive athlete, kind of checks all the boxes. Very, very excited about both. I think, day one, we're all going to be evaluating these 2 and comparing them to each other probably throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I think with next year, I think we might get a lot more offensive and some mixtures of some really good defensive specialists this up and coming draft. So I'm excited about this, man. But yeah, I've heard a lot about that kid at BYU, and I think that kid's going to be an absolute stud. So yeah, looking forward to it for the next up and coming season. But Matt, appreciate you for coming on by, and for those to check out, has real good in-depth analysis and has his own show, Matt Babcock Show. Check it out, guys. Matt, appreciate you for coming on by onto the program, man. We'll see you, and I cannot wait to see your in-depth analysis on a lot of these guys for the upcoming draft, man. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, Jake. Keep in touch, buddy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just really curious about this because, yeah, I mean, Cooper Flag is going to absolutely he's going to absolutely really shock a lot of people. I mean, I'm excited about it. There's no question, no doubt in my mind. But I do believe that with Ace Bailey, I mean, you're going to get the offensive play, and hopefully that with Utah, they'll definitely surround up some really good impactful players. Yeah, it should be really interesting for the near future. I mean, just from the talent standpoint, yeah, I think this team could definitely build up to it. It's a whole entire rebuild. So I'm curious about that. We got Shaun Smith up and around the corner, guys, but I just really wanted to end up talking about this because I do also have my NFL top 10 as well, my top 10 ranking list. I'm excited about this one because there's so much really to break down. Because to me, I truthfully think that what we're going to see is you're going to see a lot of these teams where in the end, like it's all about roster construction and it's all about the roster build. So this is where my top 10 really leads me at. So we'll be touching upon that here just in about a few minutes as we're going to get Shaun back up and on the program. But yeah, I think ultimately with when I look at it in the NFL as we're switching back, there's going to be a lot of shakeups. You're going to be surprised with the top 10 because to me, I look at a lot of the roster constructions. I look at how all of this really works out, but ultimately offensive quarterback play, defensive helps, their defensive higher powers and their head coaching. So that's going to be really interesting. So we'll get our guests back up and on here onto the program. We're going to take a break as we get our communication back up and on here. Well, really appreciate everybody for coming on by here up and onto the show as we're just getting started up and on here. But as you know, we're kicking off the new season of Jake's Prime Predictions next week. So what that means is that BetUS is ready for another year, another season. Really, really ecstatic about it, guys. So much to break down from just points, favorites, underdogs, so much more. That is where BetUS has you covered up from there. BetUS is award-winning sportsbook for over 30 years. And also, they're best in line, prop bets, pick'em bets, fantasy play, and casino play. It's all there for you, all at the click of a button at BetUS.com. When you sign up, link is in the description of your sign up. You think, number one, you get your very own account manager to keep you in the loop of what is going on for the up-and-coming games, up-and-coming weeks, and who to look out for. Just so that way you're able to build up your analysis on every single game. And $50 into your deposit can turn into, for the first 3 deposits, of upwards of up to $2,000 in winnings. Depending on your contest. That is more money up and into your pocket. A great prize pool to get you into the game, guys. Really excited. I just cannot wait for the up-and-coming season. But that is all with BetUS, guys. BetUS, where the game begins. Link in the description for your initial sign.
Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts that get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Love having our previous guest, Matt Babcock, up and onto the show. Now we transition into the NFL, and he knows a thing or two when it comes to the defensive front. Former NFL defensive tackle Shaun Smith comes upon the program. So, Shaun, in my last take, when I mentioned about Trey Hendrickson and from your former organization you played for in the Cincinnati Bengals, I just am like right now, I like Trey Hendrickson. I really do. I just feel like with the situation on the defensive front, we knew that they had a hard time stopping the run. They were able to get sacks and pressures. So when I look at this situation, my biggest initial thought is make a move, get some capital, because if you sign it, I understand the precaution. They don't want to get trapped into a scenario in the contract disputes with the guaranteed money where you're already paying the front load of the big three that you have on offense. So what did you make of this Trey Hendrickson thing? And is this something that can be manageable, or is this kind of something where Cincinnati, they should go and get their assets and maybe potentially get another defensive tackle or maybe an edge rusher in the next draft?
Well, they're going to need an edge rusher. I mean, just being honest. I played 4 years for the Bengals. Even when I was a restricted free agent, I never forget they didn't think I was going to get the deal that I got when I went to Cleveland, the division rivalry, one of their division rivalries. So, I mean, Mr. Brown, he's a good owner, don't get me wrong, but they're just cheap. You know, I mean, you hear the stories from TJ, Chad, Big Willie, all the guys that played there before me and were with me. It's just a matter of, they're just being cheap.
Yeah.
You can't. The Bengals are not Dallas Cowboys where you got Jerry Jones and how Jerry Jones is doing Micah Parsons. You can't do that to Trey. Trey has proven over the last few years that he's a double-digit sack guy, he's a high-motor guy, and he brings the energy to the defense. I mean, I understand locking him up and paying him all that money. I mean, that's the risk you take anyway. That's the risk you take when you draft a guy or if you get a guy undrafted. Just even like what they was doing with the Stewart situation. That's just, people say it's catty, yeah, the kid should have already signed, but I mean, as a player, I'm looking at it from both sides. As a player, you want to protect yourself, and also as a business owner, you want to protect yourself too. So you have to be fair and reasonable. But nowadays, everybody's not being fair and reasonable. So
yeah,
it's like in the movie Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. You got to get it while you can because you're not going to get it. Let's say next year.
Right.
I mean, each year as you get older, they try to say you don't got it no more. But he's proven that he got it, and it's also proven that if he doesn't play, they're not going to win. As you see in the preseason right now, they can't stop the run. They're struggling right now. Their pass rush is not there. Yeah, granted, you're playing preseason. Everybody say, sorry about that. Everybody say it's preseason. But preseason matters when people don't understand it because you're trying to get the guys to run your basic offense and basic defense. If you can't run your basic offense and basic defense, you have no point of being on the team. You're not going to keep you unless you're a guy that you're trying to keep for practice squad to develop. But other than that, you're not developing the guy. So
yeah,
pay the man, show the man the money, pay him the money, and let it go. Because the only other thing you can do is trade him. You can trade him and get some future picks, but I don't know how that's going to work out.
Right. It's mostly, it's a risky business type of thing. I hope that they are able to figure out this situation. But yeah, it's really going to be interesting up from when the season starts up. So even another situation I even talked about, I actually had Nolan Carroll up and on the program not too long ago, and we were talking about the Micah Parsons situation with Dallas. You played for this organization, and to me, Dallas, they got a different look up on defense. We know that they don't have DeMarcus Lawrence, and we know that he ended up saying some things when it came to Jerry Jones and the way that they've really kind of walked about this thing. I love Micah Parsons. I think he's a very hyper-athletic edge rusher. and is going to give you exactly what he gives. And I just look at the defensive front, and even with, I mean, it's unfortunate with DeMar being overshown, but this defense is young. This defense is going to end up developing. And even when they got their next pass rusher with Donovan Ezeraku, I think, to me, does Dallas, do they kind of bite the bullet up and in here and make that payment for Micah? Because I know TJ Watt, he got his money's worth. And with Micah, like, very hyper athletic player, and he honestly is what fits with Dallas's defense.
No, he fits with Dallas defense, but also you got to worry about him being hurt. He's been hurt. So I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, I'm a GM. Yeah, he's a productive player, but he also hurt too. So it's in a limbo. But you got to understand, I played for Jerry Jones, being on the practice squad, and then still, even though I wasn't active, I was still making regular game checks. The crazy part about Jerry Jones, you see the America's team just showed out, right? If you watch that documentary, you'll understand what Jerry's doing.
Yes.
Jerry's a marketing guru. That's his style. That's everything that Jerry Jones does. That's how he predicts the future. That's how he made all his money, a gamble. So he's taking another gamble with Michael Parsons in this situation. And I think before the season start, he's either going to sign the night before, or they're going to get something done. If not, they're going to trade him. But the crazy part is Michael Parsons already asked for a trade. So with him asking for a trade, that means, you know what I mean? He's doing good. The only reason he's at practice right now is so he won't get fined. That's what people don't understand. He's at practice so he won't get fined. Comes out in his jersey, laugh, kiki. But you just don't never know. I mean, that's why they call it America's team, but really the Chiefs are America's team. But you know what I'm saying? I have love for the Cowboys because that's the first organization I started with and gave me a chance. So I get it, but it's a lot of mess. It's a circus here. I mean, Jerry does everything for the looks, the facade. You know what I mean? He tells you that. Now you're doing all this attention. The movie came out. It's just like when you see rappers or movie stars or music people come out with stuff, they get in trouble or something come out and then boom, here's a deal or something and everything changes. Who knows next week on September, the game starts September 4th, Thursday night against Philly. If Michael Parsons is not signed by August 31st, look for something to be going on. Look for a major trade or something.
Man, wouldn't that just be classic Jerry? He's got the red carpet rolled out like he did in the last season with Dak's contract. I'm like, oh, come on. This is where Jerry's really just putting on a show up from here.
Everything's a show.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I want to talk about Cleveland. I think this is interesting. I know that, like, to me, I'm all team Shador from here because I'm not even looking at it from the Shador from the person. I look at the Shador from the quarterback side because, to me, highly accurate, distributes the ball well, and I think is really fitting to be an NFL franchise quarterback. We know that, all the stuff. I mean, living here in Colorado myself, watching how things really panned out. He was there with an offensive line that wasn't quite given the protection, and not alone, they didn't even have a run game to work with. So adversity is such a big thing for a lot of players because you come into a situation where it's hot, there's expectations, and you want to be the reliever. You want to be the guy that really uplifts the organization out of the turmoil. So to me, Shador, with the way that this potential is with these four quarterbacks, I think is definitely fitting to be the franchise quarterback of this organization, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the franchise quarterback, but they got to trade one of them. They got to trade one of them guys. Even with them drafting a kid, Doug, from Oregon, whatever, Shador showed that he can grasp the game very well, read the coverages. He has an offensive line now. He's in a professional. He's in the NFL now. So now he got people that can protect him. He's getting a read. Everybody's talking about his pro day. Oh, he's patting the ball. There's no pressure coming. Of course that's going to happen. He's lit it up his first game, and he didn't play in the second game. He probably played in the third game just a little bit just because, but I don't see him being a starter in the beginning of the season. Midway through the season, Joe Flacco gets hurt. He becomes a starter. I think they got Joe still there just to mentor him and learn a lot. That's basically what it is. Because also the GM and the owner is in a ton of shit because Shador makes the headline every time, no matter what. You know what I mean? And it was funny when me playing in Cleveland. It was funny. I felt Shador when he said Tony Grossi doesn't have nothing positive to say. He's a beat writer there. He doesn't have nothing positive to say about Shador. Any player that plays for Cleveland, he doesn't have nothing. I hated him when I was there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he's just listen to that, you know, it's just crazy. But I think Shador ends up starting before the season is over with. He's gonna learn, and if he doesn't play this year, he'll play next year. You know, for sure, for sure. It's just like any young rookie quarterback that get drafted normally in the first round. You have to wait and give them an opportunity, but they also have to grow and mature to see the game and see how it's going to everything. You know what I'm saying? You can't just throw them in. You throw them in the fire. Everybody's not going to handle the fire the right way, and it's the NFL. It's different.
That's 100% true. You know what's funny about that is like when everybody was watching that viral clip, my initial thoughts were he ain't doing this for show. But when he ended up approaching Tony up from there, what I love is that he approached him, calling him out, but he was professional about it. Like he wasn't out there making a scene. He wasn't.
Yeah, he didn't raise his voice. He didn't go crazy. He just did it the right way and just said, man, hey Tony, why do you always have something negative to say? You haven't said nothing positive to say. You haven't said nothing positive at all, and none of that stuff. So when you're doing that, you can't do that. How you gonna expect me to do an interview with you if you're always writing negative stuff about me? There's no way we can do an interview.
Yeah.
Unless I got in some trouble, y'all understand. I gotta face the consequences. Oh, Shador threw fucking 4 interceptions or something like that. I can understand that situation, but that's not the situation right now. Tony Grossi's always been known to try to beat up players on anything. He did it to Braylon Edwards when I was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's just crazy. So you just have to watch who you do interviews with. Just like I don't interview with everybody. I'm just don't. Even though you reached out to me and I had to do my research because I got to see what angle the interview is coming from before I even say, okay, I'm gonna commit to the interview. Because every interview, everybody got a different angle of what they're trying to do and portray you as an athlete. You know what I mean? If you get in trouble doing something, everybody trying to portray you, oh, this, and that. Now, if I go out here and get a DUI right now, I'll be over ESPN, right? But then when you do something good in the community, you don't get the notice like you should. Tony Grossi is not going to write that good article. Them beat writers don't write the good article.
Yeah, 110% right, man. And what I always love is I love to give fairness to a lot of former players and a lot of people that I have up and onto my show, and just balanced and unbiased because I love the story behind it. That's the experience, and it's what the audience is. They love about it so much. But yeah, you're absolutely 110% right about that. Let's talk Kansas City, man, because okay, we know that was obviously a rough outcome from the Super Bowl, but now they've turned the page. We know that they've got some fire boiling in their stomachs right now. But we know this team, and you've been around Coach Andy Reid, and the guy's great. The guy is innovative, and it really shapes the culture for Kansas City, and they turned a new leaf. The minute he got there, everybody was just losing their minds. But I look at it in this season. We know offensively they are going to be somewhat tested with the receiving weapons. I mean, outside of Travis Kelce and others, we know that Pat Mahomes, he's going to make anything work. But defensively, this team, though, Shaun, like from the fronts of Chris Jones to the Trent McDuffies out in the secondary, I mean, Steve Spagnuolo, I respect him as a DC because he's putting in.
Steve is a great DC. He's just not a good head coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
you know what I mean? It's no different from Romeo Cornell. Romeo Cornell is a great DC, not a head coach. Certain guys are good at DCs and not head coach, and you just got to take your role and be happy with it and let it be. You know, the Chiefs' defense is going to be great this year, I believe. I think Mahomes is going to do what he always do. Everybody talk about our receivers, but we always find a way to make something happen no matter what. So I'm not worried about that. We'll be back in the playoffs. Our division is, a little tougher because Pete Carroll's with Oakland, right? I mean, with Las Vegas Raiders right now. So, I mean, it's going to be a little competition. Sean Payton, Denver's going to try to compete, but they can't never finish. So, with that being said, I see the Chiefs winning the division again and playing for the AFC Championship. and back in the Super Bowl, right back to it. I mean, every year they doubt us, and we find a way to get back, and get back. Whether it's injuries, receivers getting in trouble, whatever so be it. All the turmoil and the adversity that we face, it always worked with no problem. We get back to it. And like you say, you let off with Andy Reid. Andy Reid's a great coach. His philosophy, as you've seen the show Kingdom on Netflix, is another let you the inside know. You know what I mean? Mr. Hunt, hands out to him, and shout out to him because Mr. Hunt's a great owner, and he listens to the players too. That's a crazy, you know what I mean? That's the crazy part about that. Like everybody was talking about on Kingdom Come on the Kingdom show about the underground. I've been knowing about that. You know what I mean? It's certain thing. Everybody don't get to know about that unless you tied in and tapped in like that. But
yeah, absolutely. So I do want to say though, and I mean the other competition you haven't got to think about is Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. I mean, this is a team that got closer, and
I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna tell you why you don't never worry about the Chargers. The Chargers are always front runners. They can't never find a way to get over the hump. Jim Harbaugh, I get it, but even they got a great quarterback. Had a great quarterback. What's this Gabriel? What? This is his 5th year in the league?
6th year in the league.
6th year in the league, still can't get it done. He's gonna be just like Trevor Lawrence. Great quarterback, but just can't get it done. I don't mean this with no disrespect. This is the thing about the NFL. Guys, it's a difference. In college, everybody's good.
Yep.
When you get to the NFL, everybody's good too, but then there's the elite. You got to do something, separate yourself from everybody else. If you can't do that, you will not make it. Yeah, I made it 10 years undrafted because what? The work ethic, technique, film study, doing all the extra things that I had to do to make me a better player.
Yeah, 100%.
That's just what it is. You know what I mean? But I got before I get off, I got a shocker. My sleeper team in the NFC is the Arizona Cardinals.
I was thinking about that. It's actually kind of funny. You are now another person I've heard that talk about Arizona. I like with what they got up in defense. That's going to be a team that could really be spoiling it for some NFC teams out there.
No, I like it now. I'm a little biased because I got a client, LJ Collar, number 91, that plays for them. I train him, mentor him. My brother is his agent. So I know, and I've been watching them closely. I think Kyler Murray finally gets his act right and focus on it and get them over the hump. I think Harris is going to have a great year. I just think JG and them know what they're doing in Arizona. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury was on to the right track and trying to change that program around, but he just needed some more time, and they didn't give it to him. As you know, it's all about what you could do for me lately. It's not about what you did in the past. We need to win now.
Yeah, 100%. I will say this, because with Arizona, should we be expecting some offensive explosiveness for Kyler Murray and MHJ for this year 2 of this connection?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be bombs over Band-Aid with them. I think he's going to be throwing the ball a lot. I just think Arizona is going to give teams a good situation because last year they was in a good situation and they lost games towards the end of the game. You know what I mean? Not finishing. And now I think they got some veterans. They brought in some players and everything. I think the defense is shored up and they're going to be fine defensively. And yeah, as you know, defense wins championship. Offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And with that being said, I mean, hey, that the NFC is a weaker division, so that's why another reason why Arizona could win because I mean, at one point in time, Seattle made it going 7-9. You know what I mean? So that's the only division where you can have a losing record and still make it to the playoffs.
That is true. And you know what? This is why the acronym of the NFL is not for long for some of these teams. Anybody can be making up and into it, and anybody can come up with the momentum, but it's when it all comes together. I absolutely love it. I have the Cardinals up and on my radar. So really good, interesting team to look at. But Shaun, really appreciate you for coming on by onto the program, man, and sharing me your experiences. Really appreciate you, man. Hey, I'll tell you what, though. I mean, the AFC West, that's going to be my favorite watch for the up and coming season with just the experience, the build. But, man, Kansas City, you know the atmosphere. It's all about the Red Kingdom up from there, so they're going to be hyped.
I'll tell you like this. There's nothing like Arrowhead, bro. I've played in every stadium, and there's nothing like Arrowhead. It's a louder stadium, the fans, the atmosphere, everything. Just like the Thanksgiving game is going to be crazy here in Dallas because this is where I live at. In Dallas, Kansas City, the Dallas game, when the tickets went on sale, sold out immediately. So, you know what I mean? So it's just going to be crazy to see how it goes. But it's going to be an interesting football season. And on that last note, before I go, I think it's going to be a major trade happen before the first kickoff of the season.
Gosh, I'm waiting for that. I've been like
It's
searching
a major
all my
trade.
I've been searching all my social media, so I'm ready to see what will happen before the kickoff comes up.
So, all right,
All
man.
right.
Appreciate it. Hey, appreciate it for having me on the show, man. Y'all have a good one, all right?
Absolutely. Take care of yourself, man. Shaun Smith, good to have you on.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, there you go, guys. Yeah, Kansas City, they are feeling it. So, with that being said, we got our top 10 NFL teams. I'm really, really excited about this one. So, for many people, okay, this is going to be interchangeable for week-to-week basis. So, just understand there's a reason that this comes up. So, I'm excited. I hope all of you guys are as well. But I know too, I mean, there's going to be so much of this. Like, I just cannot wait for when the season starts up. I really, really can't. But, alrighty, folks. Well, here we go with our initial top 10 NFL teams. And here we go. There we go. Okay. Now we got it. All right, top 10 NFL teams. Do it.
Number 10.
All right, so the number 10 team to me is the Minnesota Vikings. Here's the deal. I know a lot of people are really skeptical about J.J. McCarthy and what he's going to look like, but you cannot mistake the fact that this Minnesota team, from offensively and defensively, they're getting better. And the offensive line, when they added in Will Fries, and they ended up adding in a center, like, this team is going to look really good on the offensive line, and not to mention the run game with Jordan Mason and with Aaron Jones. I am excited about this Minnesota team. To me, J.J. McCarthy and what we watched from KOC, Kevin O'Connell, with what he did with Sam Darnold, I'm in full confidence that he's going to end up doing a similar thing with J.J. McCarthy. I've got Vikings at 10.
Number 9.
My number 9 team up from here is the Denver Broncos. Yes, I've got some love for the Denver Broncos here. Bo Nix and company, they got them into the playoffs, snapping the playoff drought that they were in since Peyton Manning hoisted the trophy. And they really found their franchise quarterback. The minute that Sean Payton is like, I love Bo Nix, they got a very special relationship. But what is interesting is that Denver, they doubled down on defense. They got Johnny Barron, the rookie from Texas. They went and got Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Funga. They really doubled down on that. They were a top-tier defense, PS2, Defensive Player of the Year. And I love their defensive front. Denver is really going to shock a lot of people in the AFC and really cause a lot of problems. I got them up at that 9.
Number 8.
So number 8 to me is the LA Chargers. Here's the reason why, is because this team, they added in offensive young firepower with Trey Harris, Keandre Lambert-Smith, the rookies, and then they bring back Keenan Allen. So Justin Herbert, after that dreadful playoff performance against the Houston Texans, this team really has fire lit up in their bellies, and this is a team that really wants to show up. Anybody that knows about the Jim Harbaugh teams knows the first year is all about the culture. Got it right. I predicted it 11-6, and this team usually goes for the jump come year 2, year 3. But this is what Jim Harbaugh does, and he's got himself a dual running back threat, which hopefully we will get a chance to see Najee Harris, but Amari Hampton, the first pick, I mean, it just seemed like this was such a really good decision for their backfield. I got him at 8.
Number 7.
Number 7 team, which a lot of people don't talk about, is the Houston Texans. I get it, offensive line, Laramie Tunsil, and all that other stuff. But have you looked at the defense of this team with, they lost Jonathan Grenard, but however, with having Danielle Hunter and then having, and then even having their linebackers, Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter are going to be such good duos of corners. Like, I'm excited about both those guys. But CJ Stroud, even in a so-called sophomore slump, which really he didn't slump really bad, but he was able to come away with a playoff, like another playoff win. He's got 2 of them now in his career. Coming into year 3, this is definitely a team to keep an eye on. That defensively, offensively, they're going to figure a lot of things out. And with the dual running back threats of Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb, I got him at 7. I'm all for it.
Number 6.
Now, the number 6 team, which a lot of people are questionable about, is the Washington Commanders. Listen, I love Jaden Daniels. I love what the offense has done. We know the Terry McLaurin situation is not looking good, but however, that's not going to stop them from getting a contract done. I believe that this could be a solvable thing, and Terry McLaurin will be back in Washington because you're going to need him, especially for Jaden Daniels, because you cannot afford to have a veteran like that walk out the building, and especially you've got Deebo Samuel to help you up and onto the short passes. So I got Washington. They're up at 6, but they will get that deal done.
Number 5.
Number 5 team, I know a lot of people didn't think highly of, but the LA Rams. Look, I know the Stafford situation is not pretty, but they probably will end up going with Jimmy Garoppolo to start it. But here's my deal. They really did get their defensive front looking very good with Jared Verse and with Braden Fisk. You added Poona Ford to the middle of the mix to stop the run. Secondary, maybe a question mark, but as long as they get pressures up front, they got a very good offense too. Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, and Puka Nacua for Matt Stafford. They went all in on their chips because they want to get one more ring before they really have to look up at quarterback. So I got the team up at 5 for now.
Number 4.
Number 4 team, now they're obviously a top 5 team either way, is the Kansas City Chiefs. The only thing about this is that I don't disrespect Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce, but I do question a little bit of their offensive weaponry. With Rashee Rice, question marks on his availability. Hollywood Brown, another question mark. They just traded away Sky Moore, and which he was honestly going to be a roster cut anyway. But defensively, I trust this team. I know that for a fact. Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie, and they went and got Christian Fulton. They got a couple of other really good secondaries up from there. So I got Kansas City up at 4, but still deemed as a top 5 team, no doubt.
Number 3.
Now, my number 3 team that really, really just got some crazy steals in the draft was the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, Malachi Starks, Mike Green, that entire defense, even with Roquan Smith and Justin Madubuike, this team looks very buttoned up. And Baltimore's a well-ran organization. Love physicality. They love they're a great organization when it comes to defense. Lamar Jackson, we know, there's a lot on the line here between him and Derrick Henry, and they went and got DeAndre Hopkins, so they got a veteran receiver in this room. But, Baltimore, they really, really are set for physical play. They're fighting for every yard, and they're just about the closest team to the next team that I got up from over here that I will announce here up at 2, but I got Baltimore at 3.
Number 2.
The team that beat them in a close rally to go to the AFC Championship is the Buffalo Bills. Now, Josh Allen, what everybody proved is that they thought that, Josh Allen was going to end up regressing. Because what? He loses Stephon Diggs and he loses Gabe Davis. So what? Khalil Shakir ended up coming up. You now got Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, who also ended up getting a couple of other really good players. They are all about running the football efficiently now. It's really good, and they ended up getting more defensive help. They got that. They also got that Maxwell Hairston kid out of Kentucky. I really like what his potential is. Really, really excited about it. I think Buffalo, they really are the team right now that everybody's eyeballing in the AFC, but we're waiting to see. I got them at 2.
Number 1.
Of course, the well-ran organization, winning a Super Bowl, and continuing to make all these moves is the Philadelphia Eagles. Not even joking. like the Philadelphia Eagles. They do a lot of things like in business with Jeffrey Lurie and with Howie Roseman. These guys are making deals after deals. They get John Mechie. They get a couple other really good players. The interesting part, though, they did lose Milton Williams. They did lose Darius Slay. I mean, they got rid of some of the old veterans, but the only question mark will be parts of their secondary. But I trust Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. I also do trust Reed Blankenship. I think Philadelphia is in good shape. They continue to be a very good, well-ran organization, winning a Super Bowl. They are right now the top-tier team going into the season. All right, so there you go. Top 10 going into the 2025 season. This is interchangeable each week, guys. So there you go. Minnesota, Denver, Chargers, Texans, Washington, Rams, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, and Eagles. That's exactly the set. So there you go. Love it. Absolutely love it. And look, I mean, the teams that were outside looking in, they are my honorable mention there. Like, they are on my radar. But, again, it has to come up from roster construction. And it's got to all come through very well. So, yeah, and listen, I am in total agreement. I'm in total agreement of what Shaun Smith mentioned earlier about a big trade that could happen. By the way, something to note, we know it's not quite a big deal. Sometimes they'll archive it, but Micah Parsons actually ended up deleting a lot of Cowboy-related stuff off his social media. I mean, this happens anytime when you get into this contract disputes and such. This is bound to happen, you know. And so, so now it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I feel like there's going to be a big trade happening somewhere. Don't know what it will be, when it will be, but it'll be before the season starts up. Next week is going to be. We're going to be so busy next week. Thursday night football, Cowboys, Eagles. Friday night football in Brazil, Chiefs and Chargers. And then our first week of week 1 in the season and Sunday. Plus, not to mention, too, you got college football action. That's why BetUS, we're all about it. All righty, folks. Appreciate everybody for coming up and onto the program. Shout out to all of our interviewers that came in. Matt Babcock, great stuff. NBA draft analysis. And Shaun Smith, former defensive tackle, really hyping on the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, he's got to be like that. But we got a lot of great content up from here, guys. Next week is where it's at on the Snake Sports Talk Show because we are busy. And then the return of Jake's Prime Predictions, guys. We will see you next week on the Snake Sports Talk Show. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you guys. Enjoy the kickoff of college football here this upcoming season. Take care, guys.